Today's episode is a special one because today we're rolling out the red carpet for two people you already know. We're not just sitting down with two of the most recognized names in Arizona real estate, we're celebrating a $1 billion milestone. That's billion with a B. These two best friends from Germany are the definition of the American dream. They came to the US with no money, no contacts, no experience, just two suitcases, two golf bags, and an unshakable belief that hard work and vision could build something bigger than themselves. From flipping an $86,000 townhouse to redefining what luxury means in Scottsdale and Paradise Valley, they've built an empire. They've sold over $1 billion in real estate since 2018. They've built America One luxury real estate into one of the Valley's top brokerages. And through MP Design and Development, they've changed the skyline one dream home at a time. They've been featured on Fox, Phoenix Business Journal, and various other publications, but today, they're here to share the real story behind the milestone. The mindset that made it happen, the blueprint, and what's next. They didn't chase applause, they just stacked results. This is the blueprint. How do you build this from zero, you ask? Well, let's talk development with the billion-dollar duo behind America One Luxury Real Estate, Maximilian de Melo and Patrick Niederdrenk.
Damn. What a text.
What are you doing there?
What a text.
Different.
Yeah.
Thanks for the intro, bro.
Yeah, just kind of hype you guys up for this big milestone you guys just hit. So I think we should get started here. I guess like we usually do, a little lightning round in the beginning. So I guess first thing is looking back over the deals, what's the deal you still think about?
I feel like it always changes. It's always one of the last ones and the next one. Like it's just such a fast pace, and we always say like and then we got to celebrate one, and then before we get to actually celebrate it, we're already on to the next one. So I feel like the best one is always the next one.
I think about the first one actually quite a lot. And I actually drive by there too. I mean, it's right by our office, but sometimes I pull into that little Camelback house community and just drive through there, and just obviously, not only our first deal, but we lived there, we rented a place there, we did 10 deals in there or something. So because it's close and because it like means a lot, and I can see it from my office too, because it's right on the corner there. I just think about the first deal a lot.
That first deal of the townhouse, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next one here. What's one design trend you'll champion in 2026? I guess it's more for Patrick, but it can be for you as well, Max.
I feel like it's just, I mean, I think we already went away a little bit from like super modern and some stuff, just trying to be like a little bit more diverse. I mean, some stuff, it always comes in circles. So I feel like plaster is coming back, wallpaper is coming back, going away from a little bit black and white, stuff. So trying to stay up to date and look outside of the state of Arizona, see what other people doing, and kind of try to follow the trends.
Is there one design trend that you're going to like, all right, we're going to go all in all? Well, not, or just try this out in 26?
I think the one thing we just do is not really the design specifically, but more like an area we focus on is, I think, landscape and pools. I think we're known to have, a little bit over the top.
And amenities.
Yeah.
Wellness centers, everything that's around health consciousness, cold plunges, massage rooms. We have a new project where we're going to build a spectacular rooftop deck. We don't want to say too much yet, but it's going to be something that the state hasn't seen. Patrick came up with something pretty phenomenal.
Okay, perfect. What's the most German habit that actually works/wins here in America/Arizona?
I would say, I mean, it's hard to get German engineering done in America sometimes. Like the
But it could be a personal habit as well. It could be.
I think it's just like the being reliable in a way. If we say we're going to do something, we'll do it. If we say we're going to be there, like we're on time and that kind of stuff. So I think being reliable.
What about you, Max?
I mean, that's essentially how we build our business, and I think that's just who we are. Actually, when you asked that question, we were invited to, a private, very high-profile event last night with a few agents, and we were there at 4:57, and I was in the car thinking, should we already go in? Because we're 3 minutes early. Of course, nobody else was there, but 4:58, we were in there, and the agent who was hosting wasn't really surprised to see us right on time. So I guess it's just yeah.
There we go. So being right on time is a German way. It's German
It
way.
is right on time, actually a little bit early.
Early, yeah. Let's see here. What hot take here? What's the most overrated luxury feature? Overrated. And we're doing both, so you can tie in the next one is overrated and underrated.
Well, I think underrated is easy. We've seen it on the last two projects that we've done. I think is lighting. I think, when you really spend a lot of time on designing and spend a lot of money on lighting, it just shows. It's just like it gives the house so much more character and vibe. And then on the projects that I'm mentioning now, when we can change colors, and it's just you can change the personality of the home within one press of the button. I think that's underrated because it's very expensive.
I don't think there's anything really overrated because it's just kind of everybody follows what's the demand. I think one thing that everybody tries to force is garage space, but then how many people are actually car guys that have more than 6 or 7 cars, right? So I think, and then a lot of those have 20 cars, so you're not get them excited with 8 cars. So I think there's a sweet spot, and I think a lot of people try to get more garage space, but it's a very targeted buyer pool. And the car guys we know, they're not gonna, 8 is not enough anyway. So I think some people try too hard to get a 6, 7, 8 car garage.
There we go. Your 30-second American dream definition. Or it can be shorter than that.
I wish I prepped for this.
I think it's here, like you get rewarded for the work you put in. There's nothing really holding you back. I feel like what we know from Europe, there's a lot of bureaucracy, tax, like there's some other stuff that makes it very hard to break through a certain barrier. And I think in America, it's still the same way. You don't need to have any knowledge or not. Like you can just, if you work hard, you're gonna get paid. You're gonna make it.
Yeah, I think that plus the way you're supported here locally to become successful, or the encouragement and the feedback you receive is very different from how we grew up. So yeah, I think that and obviously the ultimate freedom at some point is freedom of time and freedom of doing whatever you want whenever you want. I think that's kind of what we are what we're chasing, and I think eventually we'll get there. But yeah, it's no better place to do it than here.
I guess kind of tying back to Europe, what's one thing that Europe's, or like Germany specifically as well, does better as far as real estate or housing that should come over here eventually?
I think construction quality is very different. I feel like if you go on like an average nice apartment in Germany, the quality is better than on a ultra luxury home sometimes here. It's a combination of the engineering, the level of detail, the finish level, the German engineering, right? The cars to everything. Like, I don't want to bash anything, but if you compare a Mustang to an M4 or something, it's a whole different level of touch and feel when you get in the car. And I think it's the same with housing. I think it's just European construction quality is really, really good.
And for you, Max?
Yeah, I think the same. I think that is something that stands out. And I guess for us, like Patrick said before, I think not being from here, going back and forth lately a lot more than we used to, spending time outside of Arizona, wherever that is in Europe or within the US, just bringing these different inspirations, materials, finishes, and resources to the table on the development side just makes us different, makes the product different, and I think that's one of our biggest assets.
Perfect. The last one here. What's one thing you wish every new agent knew on day one? And you can tie him being a developer as well to that. So
Um, I mean, I think it's a lot harder than you may think. In the beginning, it looks a little bit easier for a short time, and then you run out of your immediate circle that can buy or sell a house, and then you have to like actually get out and get business. Same on the development side, like trying to understand that it may take a little longer, and that you can't win all the time. Like there's deals that are not as good as others, and there's some home run deals in there. So I think like sticking with it, not having shiny object, chasing the next deal, like just when you go into this, no, it's going to be ups and downs, and it's going to be a long-term situation.
Gotta manage your own expectations first. And just because you close a deal or two, even in the first 6 months, it doesn't even mean you have a business, Just, it has to be a, residual, somewhat consistent flow, although it's heavily sales driven until you actually have a business. And then you reach the next phase where, the air is very thin at the top. The competition is very high, always is like that. So to understand what it takes to stay in the business and grow it from there. And then I guess the third part is where I feel like we're starting to get now, and I'm referring back to that event last evening where you realize that, somewhat at the top level, especially here locally, everyone collaborates, and that's what it takes, and that's the mindset to stay relevant, stay successful, and do deals with the guys who move the needle.
there we go. Sweet. Well, this podcast, I guess we can title it "The Road to 1 Billion," but I guess that's your full lifetime of sales since 2018, and this year you've already done about 80 million, and goal is to go for 100 million this year. But I guess beyond this milestone, beyond the number, like what does this mean to you guys of reaching this? So
I mean, first of all, obviously, this is a collective team effort. We have a very, very strong team that Patrick and I are very proud of. We have 33 agents. We have 4 great partners. Without the support system that we have and the ecosystem that we built, we would obviously be nowhere today. So big shout out to everyone at the team. We just got the best team in the valley, and I guess that's the foundation.
I guess like what does it mean to, like what does it actually like personally mean to you? As I guess like this milestone, like hitting it, coming from like looking back 2018.
I mean, it's obviously a massive number, and it doesn't feel real. I know it is real because the number's obviously accurate.
Yeah.
Not sure if at any point Patrick and I actually ever really defined this as a goal, or there was no like vision board with like 1 billion. We just kept going, like we just mentioned, and we've been stacking it up, and now you take a quick pause and you're like, that's actually a really big number. Should probably think about it for a moment. Yeah, but again, going back to what I said before, for me personally, the number is one thing. The people in the team just means everything, and I feel like that was the warm up, because now I think we understand how this business works a little bit. We've been in it for a few years, so super excited to kind of start ramping it up from here.
What about for you, Patrick? What does it mean?
Yeah, same thing. I don't think it was a specific number that was the goal. I think we have more like numbers for us. We're like, we had that goal to like do 100 million in a year, which, I think we're going to do this year. So I think that one is more like you can grab a little bit better. The last, 7-8 years, it's been very exponential, right? The first year we did 3.5 million sales, right? It's obviously now
3.5 to 100.
That's we're going to close that tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we have a closing for more than that, what we did in the whole first year. So it's very hard. Like when you start and you sell, 3, and the second year was maybe 15 or 20 million, like that billion is like not even, you don't even think about it, right? And then the last 2 years we did 400 million. All of a sudden, like, oh, that's moving pretty quick, and then you see that goal. But at this point, like Max said, we have a great team, and it just, there's so much happening every day, that it's more like oh wow, we're already there. Like came at the end. It came faster than we expected, I think.
And then it's achievements that happen within the team. And maybe another shout out, because we just talked about this on Monday in the team meeting. Pretty much rookie of the year, Taylor Rhodes, who joined us, already sold, over 8 million in real estate, and closed a big deal last week with one of the top agents here in town. These are kind of the things that I feel like, it's not a number. It's just to see that people thrive in the environment and the ecosystem that I wouldn't say accidentally, but it was really never the plan to build out the brokerage. I think that puts it in perspective, and it just makes us super happy and super proud. So shout out Taylor, well done.
It's a big achievement. I guess, was there one non-negotiable, like I guess a standard when you guys started back in 2018, like around that time, like that you guys set for yourself, or a personal standard that you had?
A non-negotiable?
Like the thing you like, this is like how we're gonna operate no matter what, I guess.
The non-negotiables, we're never gonna give up, and we're not flying back unless we're visiting. That was a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
There's no I don't know. What do you think?
No, yeah, I think there was nothing. We didn't have like a rules and regulation that we put up on the wall, like some people have in the office, like those are 10 rules. We didn't. I think for us, it's like Max said, like it wasn't like, it's not like day one we said we want to have 30 agents and do a billion. Like we wanted to sell homes, we wanted to do it the right way, we wanted to build relationships. Then other people joined us. So I think it was more organic. So I think there was never like rules or things that we like had in mind, but they just organically came, where like all the people that work with us, we really enjoy working with them. Those are people we enjoy hanging out with in their free time. We have a group text with all agents in there, and somebody closes a big deal, everybody's happy for them. And I think that's something that I think we didn't really have as a goal. It just happened organically, and that we're like super proud of, like Max, that team spirit, that everybody's happy to be in it, and happy for everybody
Essentially,
else.
it's an extension how we always have been working together. Now that actually Patrick says it, it just grew in the team and with the people that are part of what we are today. And there's not a single person that doesn't have the same mindset and attitude that we have. And I think that's just, it's very special.
Got it. Like, did your mindset or how you made decisions change from like the first 100 million sales and the 500 now to $1 billion? Is there like things
I think some things change, as in like in the beginning you say yes to everything, like even maybe deals where they're going to be very difficult or not rewarding or whatever. Like the longer you do it, the more you can become like picky, I guess, on who you work with and what projects you take on and what listings, and which in return also allows you to be more engaged and more present for those clients that you do have, right? So I think our level of service went up as we started to say no to some business, and I think that's something that changed along the way. But in the beginning, you have to say yes to everything, right? Like that's how you got to build it. And I always compare it to like golf, right? On the PGA Tour, like the better the players are, the less they play, right? They pick the best events of the year, and but then they come in and they're really prepared. And you got the young guy that comes in and plays 33 weeks and can barely talk and walk at the end of the season, right? And so I think that's kind of where we're starting to get to, where we're the little bit more established players, so we can pick and choose a little bit more. But then when we get in, we're 110% on those, because those are the ones that matter.
So essentially, same thing, but more like on a macro level, is managing our own resources. We used to go to almost every meeting together. Now, when it doesn't happen that often anymore, it's very selective on when we show up together for what, because the only way we can keep this going is to divide and conquer, everyone in their own
Only for you, Ellen, we show up.
Huh?
Only for Ellen, we show up together.
Actually, yes.
I guess that's true, huh? The podcast.
But yeah, I think that is, you have more, there's more going on. You just got to be a lot more organized, more mindful. And I remember Patrick and I were always pretty organized with calendars, but You've seen our calendars; they're very, very dialed in, and I wouldn't want to have it any different. But you just gotta be. We're just very, very mindful of our resources, and then you have family that comes into play. There's just a lot more going on than it used to. It used to be just like, oh, we're going to Lifetime again, or going to the W. Things change, and that shit was not on the calendar at the time.
I guess like speaking of like time and all these things, like was there like a constraint that kind of like felt like starting out kind of held you back of saying like as far as capital to invest money into this, or like what's like a thing that kind of as now years have gone by like kind of has helped with the growing your brokerage or business?
Capital for sure. Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, like we said, like the first townhouse we did, you only make money when you close deals, right? Like not when you list them, only when they actually close. You only make money on the flips when they sell, not while you have them. So if if you're ever constrained, you can only do one deal, and then when that sells, you can take the money to the next one. You only get paid every 6 months, 8 months. But if you got more capital, now you got 7, 8 going, so one's going to close every other month. So I think that was in the beginning, obviously. That's why I said same with we did 3.5 million in year one, and now we're doing 300 million this year in 1 year. It's exponential, and I think that has to do with resources and capital in the beginning, because you also can't pay for like now we have other agents that can do stuff for us. We have a bookkeeper. We have an attorney that we can call if we need. In the beginning, that was all us. We had to do every single task because we couldn't afford to pay somebody to do it. So we had to do it, which takes out time of your day. So I think it's exponential. As you get more money and more resources, it becomes easier in a way, once you get to a certain level.
But then also your problems, like Patrick and I said the other day, your problems or your challenges are not like a $5,000 closing anymore. The holding expenses on projects. I mean, it's you just add a few zeros, the stakes get higher. That's how it is, and I love it.
Because like one thing you always mention is like working in the business versus working on the business, right? That's something like you guys, at first you had to work in the business to get it going, right?
Yeah, I still think we're still very in the business.
Oh yeah.
Which a lot of it has to do with, it took us a long time to like find the right people to do stuff. We have again the good team now where we have people that can do showings for us, that can do meetings for us. We like, so that was a big part of it, I think, to get to that point where you rely on other resources, to do stuff for you, to be able to free up some time.
But I also think that's something that you can always improve, and I think it's important, and we have to kind of tell each other over and over again that we have to work more on the business. And then what helps is the close sphere business partners, like Kyle, Peyton, those guys that, to stay closely connected there and to have conversations that are about how to improve operations and how to be more involved in working on the business. That just helps.
Gotcha. And I guess like looking like towards when you guys first started until now, like, is there certain things like a risk you took that paid off, and then like a risk that you took that didn't pay out? Like what are some of those examples, or what are some of those things that paid off?
A lot of people always I think we're the most generous in like paying for lunches and dinners for everybody all the time. I think we paid 97% of dinners and lunches we take people to.
People always some dinners and lunches then.
It's just like, it's almost a sport. Like we already pay before we go so that they can pay even if they try to and stuff. So it almost became like a little bit of a running gag. But I think we obviously early on even we would go to a conference, meet somebody where we think there could be and we spend maybe more than we wanted on a lunch or dinner.
We should add that number up one day, how much we spend on
lunch. But it was a time where like there was a lot of money to like a $500 dinner was like we're like, oh shit, that's going to really mess up our budget for the next week or two. But we did it thinking that it could turn into something, and a lot of them obviously didn't, right? And then there's a few that PK was here on the podcast. That was one of the dinners that paid off.
That's
so
the
some
best
did.
Dinner at Dominic's best ROI.
Yeah, but it's just like I think there's always going to be risk. I think the thing is the ones that we regret probably the ones we didn't take. There's a lot of deals where like, oh, I don't know, whatever, and then you look back and like, shit, somebody made a lot of money with this. And there were some, like I said, some relationships we invested time and money in that went to zero, and then there's projects that we put a lot of time and effort in and didn't make a lot of money on, and on the other hand, there's the home runs, right, where they're paying out way better than you thought. So just gotta keep going. No risk, no reward.
Yeah, and you gotta spend the money to make the money. That's just what it is.
And like speaking of what you were saying, like as far as things that you like, that you didn't pull the trigger on, like what were some of those like thoughts, like why didn't, like looking back, if you want to, I guess,
Why we didn't
analyze
do
it.
I think that's the thing. We always said we're very German conservative on numbers and stuff. So a lot of times we like look at the numbers very carefully and very conservative, and you can almost like talk yourself out of a deal, right? Where you're like, oh, if the construction cost is not 1 million but 1.2, it gets tight. And then if we don't get 4 but only 3.9, now there's no money in it, right? So we were like very and somebody else was like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. And then they do it and they sell it, and they. So, but I think it was a good, careful, because that's also what can take you out of the business, right? If you're too ambitious in the beginning and you take one of those and you're not conscious of budget and resale and everything, that's what can. So I think we did it the right way, but yeah, we left some money on the table by not doing deals because we were like too careful running our numbers.
And then going back to the first deal, I mean, we had just no clue. I think it's also a lot of value in just going for it, which we've done several times in the first deal. That's why I always think about it. I mean, I remember sitting at the notary with Patrick. I had like no idea. I had no idea what we're signing, what we're doing. I just knew if that doesn't work out, we're going to be screwed. So disclaimer, do not do that. That's a all in on 11 at roulette. That was pretty much how that felt. But so I think there's something to it that you, and it's not only necessarily associated with financial risk, but you just gotta be on the gas. And I think since we got here, we can say we never stepped off the gas. And I think that is more important than in the beginning having the resources, because we really didn't have them.
And I guess like looking, if you guys were to start over, but the knowledge you have now, but you go back to 2018, 2019, and you had, like, how are you getting 3 listings in 30 days? Like, what would you do differently? But you have 30 days to get listings.
Listen, I don't think we were talking about the agent side now.
Yeah, I guess yeah.
I don't think we would do anything different, because still to date, the kind of core of our pitch, or why I think a lot of clients work with us, is because they know we're gonna work as hard as anybody could do on this, and we treat their property like it is our own. And those are words that are followed by performance. And that's how we got our first deal at the time, and there was no association to a big brand, or there was no track record, nothing. It was just just a promise to absolutely outperform and do everything we can. And then it takes, obviously, on the other end, somebody that actually believes what you're saying, because you really have nothing to show for. I would not do anything different, and I really wouldn't. We still do that today, and today even more. Now we can back it up with numbers. Plus, like Patrick said, we can say no. We're selective. So I feel like the core of the foundation that we built in the beginning, which is not from here, working harder than anybody else, still preserves. But now it's backed by performance, so it gets not easier, but it just helps a lot.
I think the other thing that we never did like a common agent, right? There's all these like, Tom Ferry, all these like coaches that teach you how to like get your listing. And if you get the listing, you got to knock, 10 doors down the street and tell them you have an open house. Like, we never done any of the traditional marketing, right? It's always been networking. So the first clients, the first people we got were from like going to Lifetime. We went to a gym and we would sit in the sauna and we'd speak German. They hear us. They're like, where are you guys from? Why do you come here? What do you do now? And, and then eventually some point they're like, hey, my uncle wants to, buy a place here, like a 2-bedroom, whatever. So we always did it that way, and to this day, I mean, we can count on one hand how much money or how often we put any money into like trying to buy leads, or like you'll never see us on the bus station, or like we don't do any of the traditional marketing. So we've always been referral, which means face to face, which we've done from day one. And we don't do any cold calls. We don't do any, we've done a lot of stuff in the beginning, but I don't think looking back, that was the success. The success was always just meet people, shake hands, and stay top of mind, and make sure that they know that when you get a chance, you'll perform.
And I think something that then changed noticeably is, kind of once we started working with you and we took, the social media game serious and started to be consistent with the content that we've been putting out, which essentially that marketing component is, driven by the properties that we have and just sharing and podcasts that we're doing. And I think all that kind of helps. So thanks for all your help.
Of course. I guess like going back to like you guys like you didn't dream of building the brokerage out. Like what? I guess when did you realize? I guess that you wanted to and that you could. I guess to where it's now.
I think it started when like first like other people like start to approach you and be like, hey, how do you guys work? And do you like hire, quote unquote? You don't really hire in a brokerage. More it's like like do you like take people on and whatever. That's more I think when we're like, oh, people actually want to work with us, and and we always had that running gag in the beginning when they said, what do you guys do or what do you provide? We said nothing, like but we're pumped, like we're gonna get you fired up every day, and
Get a rocket emoji from Max.
pretty much. That's that's all we provide, because we never spent money on leads and marketing. So we're like, we can't we can get you pumped and hyped, and we'll support you 24/7, but we don't have any knowledge above a certain level, like that. We're not that type of brokerage where we have classes and that. So, and I think that's kind of also like where we went through like a few agents in the beginning come and go, and then it turned into that people joined us specifically because of that, because they're like, it's a good team and everybody's pumped and there's lots of rocket emojis, but it's not like we meet every Monday and we go over how do you write up a Binzer, and how do you review your contract with your client. Like, that's not us. Like, people that join us are the ones that I always say I'm one of the oldest in the team, right? So we're a young team. A lot of them do flips or development stuff. They're all seasoned. Everybody knows. Like, nobody has questions about the standard stuff on the transaction. It's more like, hey, how can I maybe get better at this, or what can you do here, or can you introduce me to that guy? So it's really more a collaborative approach than anything else. And that's why we always, in the group chat, it always comes up as the America One family. And I think that's how we do it. We just run it all together and support each other. And I think that's how we accidentally built it, because it just organically, the right people join and stay.
What do you, Max? Anything else?
It's a little whoopsie, yeah.
A little
I mean, I don't think I can add anything to that, other than the influence of the sphere around you. And I'm not talking about getting referrals. I'm talking about the people that you spend the most time with, you interact the most. I think that is something that we underestimated, for sure. And I also think that's something that most people underestimate in general life. But I think once you see the true power of it in all aspects of your life, there's just no limits. And I think maybe that's why it just happened the way it happened. And from a bird's eye perspective on looking at the team and the interactions and successes and the way people start collaborating. I mean, we had Brendan join us recently. He's collaborating super closely with Kyle, Jonathan, Haley, but also independent of these, mini teams within the brokerage. There's just a unconditional support and collaboration from everyone. That is something that I think has no price tag, and I think that's the biggest value that we have. But now also we're starting to get approached more of people wanting to join us. And just like we handle our clients and resources, we're the same now. We're very
Selective.
You know, we're very selective. I think now we understand what we have and who we have, and we want to preserve that culture that we created at all costs, and make sure we keep this going and make everybody stronger, opposed to now wanting to say, okay, we want to grow it to X amount of numbers, just like we didn't have a number or any plan in mind. There was no, we're at 33 agents right now. We never talk about a number or any plan. My only thing is I would love to have at least 500 million in transactions on an annual basis throughout the team, which I think we're getting very close to achieving that. But again, just I said it I said 2 or 3 times. Just like I just love our team. It's phenomenal.
I guess like you guys recently started, or maybe like the last year or so, like having a specific for the MP team. Like, what was that important to you guys to have people directly just working with you guys direct like that?
Goes back to like time management of and being able to like get everything done at the same time. Like right now, I think Josh, for example, is doing a showing for us at one of the properties because we're both here. Like that's Max, like saying usually we're not in the same space. If we are, then now you're already at that point where like, all right, somebody else got to do it. Great. Josh, is kind of like our third wheel or however you want to call it, right? Like so whenever like when we both can't make it, then he's the first call, and 99% of the time he's able to like jump in and get stuff done, and we trust him, and he's done a great job on every single transaction that he's worked on with us so far, and and then as an extension of that, where there's more people, like 2 weeks ago, like Max was out of town, Josh was doing some other showings, like then we called Kyle, and Kyle was the next, like he went there with a client of ours, did 2 showings, the client said good things about him. So that's just something that we've always been very happy about on the big scale, on the brokerage. We could send a text right now to all 33 and we would not care who goes. Like we would trust everybody the same way to represent us great. But having 1 or 2 agents now that are like first line of defense if we're getting tight on time and being availability is good, because it also it's going to create some consistency with the clients, right? Because now there's some clients that already know that Josh is, if we can make it, Josh's going to be there. Or if they say, can you run some numbers on this? And we're both all day in meetings, and and he has an hour to do it during the open, and he'll send in. So I think that gives consistency to the MP brand of it. Always
and more horsepower. Not only for jumping in when we're not available, but I think pretty early when he joined us, Patrick and I, gave him opportunities, and left the leash long on purpose, and he's just done a very good job. And I think personally for Patrick and myself this year, that's been the biggest game changer, and goes back to Sphere, right? He's the younger brother of Kyle, who's a good friend and business partner of ours. It's just essentially keep it in the family, and then with someone who wasn't from that inner circle, it obviously takes some time to build trust, which that's the biggest thing. And it was pretty much instant, and it's almost like a jump start to things. But yeah, it's been amazing. Josh, you kick ass. We love it. I hope you sell that thing while we're sitting here.
And kind of like taking a bird's eye view. I know we kind of went deep with all this stuff. Like why? I know a little bit of the story, like why you guys came to Arizona, but I guess kind of fill in the audience of why Arizona and why real estate specifically, why this profession, like why this field.
His fault.
Kind of all random in a way, because one of my good friends from golf had a place out here in Scottsdale, and just one random night said you should come visit, and I came and liked it, stayed for a while. Then one night in Germany, Max and I were out. We said let's go and check it out, and we stayed for a while and liked it. And then we always liked the idea of in America in general that there's no lit, right? You can actually achieve something if you work hard, and nobody's really trying to hold you back. So Arizona was first very random, but we did like the idea of doing something in the U.S. during our 2014 visit, I met my now wife Valerie, obviously too. So that was part of it. So there's just like a lot of random things that happened along the way that kind of got us to where we are. And the real estate thing is just, we always liked it, right? And we kind of also stumbled into it when we first rented an Airbnb and saw what we pay for Airbnb and what these things are selling for, which was the townhouse we ended up buying like 2 doors down from where we were renting.
$2,750 a month for 950 square feet, 2 bed, 1.5 bath. That's where
Yeah.
we're staying at, Camelback House.
Yeah. So it was like, when we saw what we can buy it for, what it can rent for, we're like, there's money to be made. And we knew that real estate is a very lucrative business, right? And I always liked architecture and design anyway. So on that side, I already had like an interest in it. And we had to start from zero anyways, right? We came here with like no knowledge, no connections. So we could have picked anything, right? We could have owned a painting store or whatever. Like we can pick whatever we want because we got to start from zero anyway. So might as well pick something that we have some interest in, that we know there's good money in it. And that happened to be real estate. So it wasn't a calculated move.
Yeah.
It was just ended up here.
You get the gist of the story, or what? Yep. Or you want to add anything to the
No,
story?
I mean, I was just thinking the first deal that we did was an off-market deal too. Patrick and I found it because the lady in unit 345 at Camelback House had a sign in the window. So I remember I saw the sign. We were just walking around, and I called her. Her name was Angela. I'll never forget it because that's my mom's name. And then I said, "Well, are you looking to sell?" And she's like, "Are you looking to buy?" I said, "I don't know, maybe." And then all of this was new, but it just started with it's just a conversation, and then we ended up doing our first deal in there, which was 4 doors down from where we were living. It's just like I said at the beginning. The first deal is on my mind probably once a week. If you think about it, it's absolutely crazy, and I had like no idea what was going on.
I guess from that first deal, like what's something that what's like a lesson or thing that you took away that still kind of applies?
Keep your eyes open, because there's signs in the window. I mean, like it's the same. We talked about numbers earlier for that press release that's going out, and with the next 3 closings this month that are all off market, Patrick and myself will be at 47% deals closed off market this year. We've never had such a high number, but the first one was off market, and now we're more connected. Our developments, neither Patrick or myself are afraid to talk to neighbors. If anything, we're always very proactive to be accommodating, especially when we do construction. And you just keep your eyes open. We looked at a lot of things online, and I don't know if I was walking to the trash. I don't know why I walked by there, or it was the car, but I saw the sign. I don't know. I mean, there's people that have signs in the yard. There's estate sales. There's properties that look distressed. You just got to keep your eyes open. Talk to Patrick. Well, our first commercial deal we closed in a place called Eloy, out of all places. I still don't know where that is. Probably ashamed of myself.
I know where that is,
Patrick
yeah.
talked with the neighbor who was walking his dog at a project of ours in Paradise Valley. Next thing you know, we end up doing a commercial deal in Eloy. So, just keep your eyes open and
The
say
big
hi.
one, 40,000 square feet.
Oh, yeah.
It was a big one too.
Yes.
Our biggest commercial deal today. It was like
40,000
random. Yeah.
bucks. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So, just and it costs nothing to be friendly and to be polite and follow through. It should cost nothing. So I think it's got to run. It's got to become second nature if you're in this business. The same way with agents, and maybe how you asked if there was something we recommend for agents.
Yeah.
Patrick and I usually, when we talk with any agent on the phone, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, maybe we talk about a deal, a listing, or anything deal specific, and then we say, while I got you on the phone, is there anything else that you have coming up that I need to know of? Knowledge about inventory, especially off market, is key, and that costs nothing. You just good. And then you need to be able to have a system, whatever system you have in place, to remember these things. And if you do it every day, all day, you start recognizing addresses, properties. Patrick was on the phone with someone. He says, "Hey, there's a project, XYZ location that I started." And then as that person was talking, I'm like, "I know this deal." And then Patrick put a mood. I said, "I bet you this is what happened, and this is why this deal available." 30 seconds later, guy said, "This is what happened. Family situation." I knew about that deal.
Yeah.
That happened 12 hours earlier. So that takes time, and you have to know what you're doing. So that's maybe another thing. Just ask, what do you got coming, what do you got going on, and just make sure you keep those relationships. Because collaboration amongst agents, that's what gets deals done.
I guess like looking back, like is there any, I guess like your first connect here for either one of you or both of you is combined? Like who's like your first connect here in Arizona or the States for real estate in a sense?
For real estate, I mean, that's the thing. Nothing specific. There's nothing you can point out. Like we found a deal by like using Zillow, Trulia, and signing the windows. Our first contractor was an Uber driver because we told him that we're looking for one. He said, "I'm a GC too." Like,
He did a reggae band too.
yeah,
What's his name? George? George? Robert's name. Reggae band Robert.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole point. Like you just gotta. We didn't have any connections, and we didn't have a specific run in real estate. Like we got the agent that helped us writing it up from somebody that we met at Lifetime at the gym. Like, no, it was just literally like meeting the first people in random places and mentioning that we're doing something with real estate, and they would tell us who they know that like that's really how it started. Like,
Essentially, we were saying we're doing something we didn't even know what we were doing.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the first business card that we had designed. I think on that business card, Patrick and I had combined of 10 titles. It was from investor to what else? Investor, entrepreneur, international. This, that is literally.
Leave it open. Leave it open
Leave
for
it
interpretation.
open. Here's my card. I don't know. How can we figure?
Pick one that you help me
There's
that.
so many titles on this thing, and 4 phone numbers.
But I mean, the thing is, when we always say we had no connections when we came, I mean, that's really true. Like we didn't, there's nobody that we knew that lives here, or grew up here, or any of that stuff, right? Like it was really, it started with like us coming into a completely random state and city and starting to like talk to people and, get to that point where they connect you to the next person and you start building that network out of it.
We met one friend of ours. Her name is Lindsay, one of the first people we met here at the W. The reason that was, I think, a relationship that changed a lot because I actually, I don't know how long I stayed she let me rent a room from her because that's all I could afford at the time. And the bottom of a townhouse. It's technically kind of a half commercial space there. And we did, I don't know, how many deals did we do with her? A handful of deals. Yeah. She was investor in a few, so I mean that was from the W. Works.
There we go. I guess like as far as the off-market deals, going back to what you're saying, the almost like 47% you said of this
with
year.
the next 3 closings.
Yeah.
That's year-to-date off-market percentage for Patrick and myself.
And I guess like that opportunity, is that something you guys specifically honed in on, or that just opportunity just came up? I guess what the off-market.
I think it's more common in the luxury space because people sometimes they're like willing to sell, but not like it needs to go on the market today. On the lower price point, it's more like people have to think this whole thing through. They got to sell this to buy that, and in our price point, a lot of times it's more like all of a sudden you get a call and somebody's like, "Hey, I saw this. Can we go see it?" And then that's kind of like starts the thought process of maybe we would sell if we find something. And then it goes to like, if you have anybody from my house, we'd be selling it. And now you have that as like, to Max's point, you got that in the back of your mind. And then 3 weeks later, you're on the call with an agent and you ask your classic questions, you got anything, you got anybody looking? Mm-hmm. And then they're like, "Oh, I'm looking for this, and that." And you're like, "Well, I have a client. They would, sell it if the deal's right." And that's how that starts, right? And then same way the other way around. We have clients that say, "Hey, I'm looking for this, and that." And we ask those questions with other agents, "What do you got coming?" And they're like, "Hey, I got this, and that." And that's how you connect the dots. So I think it's a combination of price point and network that starts to, like, you connect the dots, behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I would say almost equally weighted between the retail kind of sales that Patrick just mentioned, and the investment acquisition side, which, as you know, mostly are just lots for us. But yeah, when I saw these numbers, I was like, that's a number I'm proud of, but that it shows that that we're connected.
And as far as like the client's trust goes, like I guess like what, of course you have an idea of white glove service means, but I guess to a client watching or people watching, or what does that mean? And like I guess is there like a story about you went above and beyond white glove service and the client loved it and service you guys provided? You know what I mean? Like long story, just
I don't think it's a
memorable?
specific thing we do. I think it's like just being available for everything. We see a lot of times on the other side with the agent on, if we have the listing, they have the buyer that they kind of like let the client figure stuff out as they go. If we have clients, we help them with, bins of repairs. We connect them to the people that can do the repairs. We help them get estimate. Like we're just trying to make sure if they need a moving company, like, whatever it may be, we're just trying to like be very available from start to finish. When they do a listing, if it's a listing, we go in, we kind of go through the house with them, tell them what should probably be done before we put it on, and then we help the resources. So I think it's really like, we always say the same thing. It's technically really not rocket science. It's just really like trying to provide the best service and be 110% of the time available. And if something comes up, try to assist and not be like, you have a roof issue, like that needs to be fixed before we close and hang up, right? Like it's like, we got a roof issue. I got 2 guys that can send out. Do you have someone? If you send them out, please make sure they send it to us. We'll, look at the numbers. We have a GC here that can take a second look. Like, it's really that. Like, it's not rocket science. It's just, following through with like trying to help them all the way through to the end.
And like is there I guess is there a certain thing that I guess a client loved that you did something? Like you're available, like you're saying, like roof. Is it something that, the client really appreciated, or you went above and beyond? Like how?
I mean,
There's got to be something. It's like 8 years, something.
yeah,
I think we just do it all the time. I think like even like the Intrude and the one we sold, like Max helped them just a lot with like moving and repairs and moving like I don't think it's they like very grateful. Like, a lot of times you get the text message a week or 2 later, we're like, can't even believe how amazing everything went, and we already referred you to this. So I don't think it's again, I don't think it's something that you specifically can pick out. I think it's something we consistently do, and so I think it's just it just adds up. It's a compound thing of just trying to do all the right thing all the time, and which also is a big part of why you get referrals, right?
I guess I'll ask is like, where did that kind of come from? Like, before you became in a real estate, like that must have been in you guys already as a person. Like, where did that? I guess parents, the culture you grew up in. Like, where did that kind of draw from? And then you brought that into business in a sense.
I think that just just runs in our DNA. I think that's just, if I think about anything else we've done before together, I think we always had the same approach, work ethic. The only difference now it's our business and we control the narrative, opposed to working for someone else. So that's just who we are.
There we go. Okay. Here's a little hypothetical. If you were starting today with the 100K, small network in Arizona, what's your 12-month plan? Like, what are you doing?
Any business or?
It can be real estate, but you can make it more fun. Do something else like pool pool cleaning or whatever.
Be a pool boy. No, I think we, with the knowledge we have now, obviously be very easy to get back into real estate. If we were to move to Montana tomorrow and start a brand new city where we don't know anybody, I think it would be fairly easy for us to repeat it now. Like, just knowing that we just have to go to all these events, meet people that we still to this point, we go to a lot of open houses just to like shake hands, see inventory, like do the same thing that doesn't cost any money. And I think that capital would really just be for our lunches and dinners to network with people, and I think we would,
50% of that.
yeah, probably. And I think we would do the same thing because the other thing is the nice thing about real estate is if you know what you do, you don't need a lot of capital. I think with 100 grand, I think with 10 grand, we could start in a different city and within 1 year, like make a decent living for both of us.
Just gotta like scale down on the diversity of the lunches and maybe skip the dinners for the first part, But yeah, Patrick's right. I think that
I mean, just if you look at like wholesaling, right? Like, because that's something that I forgot who it was, but there was a video, a similar question where it said, if you had 5 grand, like what would you do? I mean, you can wholesale a property. We've done those in the beginning too, right? You can wholesale a property with 5 grand and can make 50 grand on it with 5 grand. And you can do that in 30 days, right? You just got to find the deal, get it the right number, understand how you run the number, and then you sell it to somebody else at the fair market. That's a whole business in itself. It doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of time. So I think if you were to do a challenge, say I give you 5 grand, turn that into 500, I think you can do that with wholesaling in 12 to 18 months.
this is not scripted, but this is actually a good point because our next guest on our podcast next week will tell you guys all about that. That's gonna be a full hour on how to be super successful at wholesaling. 2 guys that are absolutely phenomenal, 2 brothers. I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm very excited to have those guys. You'll learn a lot.
Here we go. Sweet. I guess kind of tying it back in, it's not like you're winning an Oscar, but I'm saying like every sale is a story. Like, is there a specific people that helped you along this way from ground zero to now to 1 billion?
I mean,
know
I
there's
said
so
this
many
in the
names,
beginning,
yeah.
Our partners, Jonathan Lehman, Joseph Pierce, Steve Nielsen. I mean, without those partners, it would not be possible. Every single one of our agents, and I guess our close friends and family that always have to kind of keep up with us and understand we're far away for the most part, and there's been a lot of sacrifices along the years. It just wouldn't be possible. But I mean, without Patrick, I wouldn't be here. So.
Anything for you, Patrick? Anybody for you specifically?
No, I think the same thing. I think those were the guys that helped us learn a lot in the beginning. And it was I think we brought the horsepower and the crazy work ethic, and they brought the knowledge, which was a perfect match in the first few years, right? And then I think it's just the network you build, and the people that have been there along the way, and yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think the biggest thing is, I think that the way Max and I work together is ultimately, I think, the biggest piece of it, to be honest. That's why I said I think if we were to move to Montana tomorrow and start over, I think we'd sit there in a podcast in 4 years of started a billion. Like, we could do it again because we now know how we work together, what each of us is good at, how we, kind of like make 1 + 1 = 4, So I think that's ultimately probably the biggest piece of the puzzle.
I guess quick question is you mentioning how you and Max work. Like, how did this, like, I guess even for myself to know, is how did this friendship, business partnership start? Like a quick origin
In the
story.
club.
In the club.
In the club.
Pretty much in the club, yeah.
In the club in Germany.
Yeah. Mutual friends in Germany. We didn't know each other. We're out one night. We're the last man standing, and Max ran out of cash or something, so he needed like $50 to
Needed
pay,
a bridge loan.
needed a bridge loan. So I gave him the money. I thought I'll never see it again because I didn't really know him, right? And then he made an effort through other friends to find out who I was to pay me back the money. And we just started like hanging out with like mutual friends. And the one thing I think every time we connected was that we both were probably the only ones that really said, okay, like, we always called it Lambos, condos, and, like we always had the idea that we want more other than what's maybe more common in Germany, where, if you make a good living, you're happy, and, like it's a way more work-life balance and more like the social, and we always had more like also like other goals that we had. So I think we knew that work-wise we would be a good match.
We didn't know how we were going to make it happen.
Yeah,
Never
we
really.
didn't know that.
It just happened. Just sporadically happened. But I guess one last thing is here. You hit 1 billion. What's the next looking to
2
the
billion.
future? Huh?
2 billion.
2 billion.
I mean, half a billion a year on a consistent basis. I think for the team, as far as numbers, is the next goal. I know we're gonna hit the 100 million this year because we'll be at 93 million in about 2.5 weeks. So that goal is set. I think we're gonna ramp up our development game. We have some plans to do, leverage a little bit more the bridge from here to Europe, and I think that's a few other things we have in store. You'll stay tuned.
Oh, stay tuned. Oh no. Is there like, I know we have things like coming up, the steakhouse. Is there things like that you want to start putting your foot into? I guess?
Yeah, 100%. We always said, like, you got to start to diversify, but, you need money to do that, right? Which we didn't really ever had that opportunity. But now we do have that steakhouse, which is going to open in the next 4 weeks, right? So that's something where, we're a very small part of, but that's how you start, right? And then we have some other things that we have a small part of. So we started way more multifamily projects, right? We're at about 50-ish units right now, 50 doors that we own with different friends and partners. So that's something that we've been doing because obviously ultimately the goal is to, like diversify and build up other, streams of income and be able to maybe pull back a few hours a week on the work side and still maintain, the lifestyle and the income.
Patrick's gonna have a child in 4 weeks. I'll not forget that. 2 weeks. Oh yeah, November 4th. Yeah.
Shoot. Well, I think it's a good way to wrap it up. You guys want to?
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate you supporting us. We appreciate your continuous excitement and support in all areas. I'm super excited for next week's podcast. Thanks to everyone again, partners, team, clients. This is a big milestone, and it wouldn't have happened without you.
That's it.
Yes, your part.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, my part. Yeah, like a big one.
Yeah.
Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on all the different channels. We always appreciate when people send us like questions for podcasts or like topics, or if you have somebody else that you guys want to see on here. Always happy to get that feedback.
Sweet. See you guys next time.